Alafia, this is Yaya Fini from yayafini.com with my Teaching Tuesday. Teaching Tuesday is my opportunity to share some of the stories and the myths and some of the things that I use for my encouragement and for my upliftment and just to share. Well, today we're talking about Oshun, how she was healed of her insecurity. Well, a long time ago, Oshun, when Yemonja was married to Orumila, Oshun was caught in a very unprecedented way in a pumpkin field. They were getting busy. And so she was caught, embarrassed. She was like, oh, she was so humiliated. She says, I will never, ever go into a pumpkin field again. I am so embarrassed. So she left and went off. So over the years, Oshun went on to live her life and had many, many, many babies. And so one day she went to the river and she saw her body. She said, oh my God, my body is so disfigured. I am not pretty anymore. And so she started crying, walking in the, leaving the river and walking in the woods. And she ran into a shoe. And she said, hey, shoe, can you help me? He said, no, sister, I don't know what to do to help you. So he said, well, I'm sure that you'll find something to help her. She went back to the river, was bathing and crying still. And a little fish jumped up and says, oh, why are you crying? You are so beautiful. She says, no, I don't feel good at all. I don't feel good at all because my body is disfigured. I am ugly. I don't like the way I look anymore. I don't look like myself. That reminds us of many of us that do that, right? And so the fish said, there is something that you can use that grows right here and is very powerful. She said, what is it? What is it? What is it? And the fish jumped in the water. So she went on and was walking and tired and crying. Finally, she got tired and she said, I'm just going to sit under this tree. And while she was at this tree, she looked up and it was a gourd tree. And she says, oh, the gourd tree said, why are you crying? She says, because my body is so ugly and so disfigured. He says, well, maybe you can clean yourself off with one of my children. And a gourd fell and she cleaned herself up, but the gourd was making a lot of noise. And she says, I can't do anything with this. It's so noisy. And he says, well, I am sure you'll find something. And she went on and was walking and crying. And finally, she heard something says, why are you crying? Why are you crying? She says, because my body is so disfigured. And she looked down, and there was a big batch of pumpkin. And she says, I cannot even walk in a pumpkin field. I cannot. The relationship I have with pumpkin, it traumatizes me. So I'm not. So the pumpkin says, well, you can use me. You can use one of my children to clean yourself off. So she went ahead and she says, well, if this is going to help, let me go ahead and try. So she went ahead and she cleaned herself. And while she was cleaning herself, her stomach, her body came back just as vibrant. She thanked the pumpkin and she says, forever, I will never say I will never again. And so thankfully, she was very grateful to the pumpkin for using it. And so she said, from this day forward, I will make sure that every woman knows that she can use pumpkin to clean herself whenever she's having problems or that she's feeling any kind of um, unnatural situation in her womb, in her stomach area. So from that day on, that's why the pumpkin is very sacred. The pumpkin told her, you can use me to clean me, but do not eat it. That's why in this faith, a lot of times we're told, do not eat pumpkin because one day may come that you may have to use it to cleanse yourself. So of course, the moral of the story is that there is a cure for everything. And The shrines, the orishas, they don't pass judgment as to what and how, what brings you to where you are. Just know that there's always a medicine to move you from total embarrassment, total saying denial, total saying that I'll never do this again, to finding a help for not only yourself, but for everyone else. Have a wonderful Teaching Tuesday. Whatever. How did that sound? Good.
That's an interesting story.
Ah.